Good evening. It is day 40 of Animal Crossing. So isn't that cool? Been doing this for a whole 40 days in a Potosaurus tail. Already got that one. Which is very cool. I really hope spring starts soon. I'm getting a little tired of seeing the snow everywhere. I want my green grass. I want to I'm done looking at just the same white color everywhere. I think the green grass will be a lot nicer. And then the bugs and fish and stuff that I can catch will be a lot of fun too. I'm really tired right now. The commentary is probably not going to be great on this one, but that's fine. Oh goodness. Today I was mostly kind of lazy today. I mean, not super lazy. I've been, a corn plant, okay. I've been reaching out to a lot of people, to see if I can get some music commissions going. No hooks quite yet, but we're working on it. It's always a process. So hopefully I can find something soon. I'm gonna sell all these fossils here, and then other than that, I've also I started putting together the prototype for that little horror game concept that I was talking about last time. And so it was a lot easier than I thought it would be, getting like a black box to appear over an object. And so that, like, just the basic code of getting that to work wasn't really that bad. 104 bells. I'm going to save these for a bit. It wasn't that bad. There's actually a function in Godot just for the camera to unproject global coordinates into 2D coordinates, based on like how the camera is viewing an object. And so it was pretty easy to just use the like unprojected global coordinates to what am I doing? Wait, what did I just do? T-room wall. Let me see it. Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. It was pretty easy to do that, but then all that did was place the black box over the object. It didn't actually, I could have just like sized up the black box to fully cover it, but that's obviously not what I want. This is an oil drum. Oh my goodness. That's just straight up an oil drum. That's kind of hilarious. I don't think I want it though. This is kind of cute, this globe. You know, I'll take that. Why not? And so I had to... I wasn't quite sure at first how I wanted... This is the corn plant? Okay. I wasn't quite sure at first what a good method would be to basically get the full extents of whatever mesh I was unprojecting, like the full size of like how much space it takes up on the screen, and have the black box cover the whole thing. So I looked it up, and this is actually, it seems like a fairly common thing that people ask about for Godot and stuff. Just because a lot of people... Hey, Pip, you really want to talk to me, don't you? Hey, watch its speed. I literally was standing here and then walked up to you. Okay. Well, anyways, you have anything you want me to do? I'm so glad you're here. I have the perfect job for you. You know Blair, don't you? Well, I want you to go ask that moocher for my videotape back. Okay, I can do that. Alrighty, I'll take care of that. That's actually a pretty common thing people ask about, it seems like, on the on Godot topics, because a lot of people asking about it are trying to recreate, I think, well, I can't think of a specific example, but there are a lot of 3D first-person games that have some form of like object selection UI, where it basically puts a square around the object, but that square is like a 2D UI element. And so for a lot of people try to like recreate that, and in that they look up, hey, how do I get how much space something is taking up on the screen and convert that to like 2D coordinates. And so it didn't take that much searching to figure out to like find a topic where someone had given a solid answer for how you could do that, which was basically just referencing the mesh of the object that you want to like find the extents of, and then there's a function to get every single vertex on that mesh, and then basically you it just returns an array of every single vertex with every single vertex in it, the global coordinates of every single vertex in it. You iterate through that array, converting the global 3D coordinates on every vertex to the unprojected 2D coordinates, and then you iterate through that new array of all the 2D coordinates of the vertices, and you compare all of them to figure out which one has the minimum, which one has the lowest x value, which one has the highest x value, which one has the lowest y value, which one has the highest y value, and then you basically just use that to get the top left corner and bottom right corner of the space that it takes up on screen, and then you just set your rectangle or whatever to you set the top left corner at the top left corner, and then you set the size so that it extends out to the bottom right corner. So really not that bad. However, when I first implemented that, I was running that every single frame, and I was just using a default Godot sphere as the mesh I was projecting the rectangle over. And those default spheres obviously have to look like very smooth spheres, so they have a lot of vertices, and running through all of those basically twice every single frame, and running like fairly, I assume fairly complex calculations. I don't actually know the low levels details around how it works, but I assume they're fairly complex calculations. Every single frame just absolutely dumped my frame rate. It like halved it, and so that was not great. So I did a few optimization things to fix it. First of all, I made it so it didn't update every single frame. I made it so there was a small not a small, like a delay by a certain number of frames, but actually a delay by a certain amount of time, which also kind of assisted the sort of like edited footage, manually censored look to it, because if someone is going through and like manually censoring this footage, they're not going to change the location and size of the box every single frame, because that is a massive amount of work to try and do. And so not only does adding that delay optimize it a little bit better, but it also makes it look, you know, more like what it's supposed to look like, I guess. I'm gonna put this stuff away and sell those peaches. Let's see here. I can drop I'll drop the globe right here. There we go. So I did that, and then I also just changed some settings on the sphere to reduce the total amount of vertices, and then that it just all basically became not a problem after that. So after that, I forgot to drop my turnips. I made it so there's a little bit of an extra like buffer of space around the object, so that, you know, it's not like trying to keep the rectangle at exactly the edges of the object, and then when there's a delay you move your camera slightly and you can just always see the object. I want to hide it. That's like the whole point. So adding that buffer helps a lot, but it's not perfect because you can still move your mouse really fast, and there's like nothing you can do. So I also compare the distance from the distance of from the position of the rectangle to the unprojected position of the object that it's trying to cover, and if it's over a certain amount, then I just manually update it before the timer that regularly updates the rectangle runs out and times out and updates it itself. So that solved that, and then I realized the buffer around the object, the like size of the buffer, has to scale based on the player's distance from the object as well. So that was a thing. I then tried to set up line of sight stuff so that if, you know, it's behind a wall, then the black box goes away. And that was actually a lot harder than I thought it would be. At first I just used, Godot has like an on like visible on screen notifier node, where anytime something's on screen, like visible on screen, it like emits a signal, and then you can, when that signal is emitted, you can execute some code. I was like, okay, and then every time it like exits the screen, it emits a different signal, and you can execute some other code. So I was like, okay, so that makes it simple. I can just use that, and that did work for if the player wasn't facing towards the object, which was a problem I needed to solve. So that was nice that it solved that. But it did not detect walls at all. It did not detect if the thing was behind walls, and notify it as having exited the screen if it was. And so I was reading the documentation to see if there was a workaround for that, and it was like, yeah, if you want to use this to, you know, detect if something is behind a wall, then you have to use occlusion culling, which is basically... Occlusion culling is a common thing in games where if, like, something is not visible from the camera's point of view, then it'll cull it, meaning it turns it invisible, so that the game, like your computer, doesn't have to worry about rendering something that the player can't even see anyways. And so I was like, okay, I'll try that out. I'd never messed with occlusion culling before, so it was kind of a learning process. I messed with it a bit. I did get it working, but then I was reading the documentation for occlusion culling, and it was like, hey, so you really should not use this for objects that, like, anything that moves, because then it'll break. It just will 100% of the time. And I was like, well, shit, because obviously I want the enemy to move around. So I was like, okay, well, I can't do that. So what I opted for instead was just using raycasts. So I have 3 raycasts on the enemy that cast towards the player. And there's like one right in the middle, and then the 2 others are offset pretty much exactly by the width of the mesh for the enemy, and then they just raycast towards the player, and that, like, offset create the offset in the raycast positions, because I also apply that offset to the target position when they're raycasting towards the player. That offset in the raycast positions is enough to detect pretty much perfectly if the like enemy's mesh is behind a wall, and then therefore if it is, to stop rendering the rectangle. So yeah, that's all working. I think the next thing is to work on doing some, like, very deliberate imperfections in how it covers up the mesh. So occasionally it slips past it, but only by just a little bit. I did not mean to say I wanted to sell more stuff. I think it'll be easy to, like, make it so that occasionally it's a little bit imperfect, but I think the hard part is going to come from making sure it only shows a tiny bit of the mesh, and, like, I have a lot of control over how much it shows of the mesh. Maybe. Well, it might be easy. I might be able to, because I already have, like, the exact bounding box of the mesh, of, like, the space it takes up on the screen. And so I can just take that bounding box and then apply, like, a little bit of a negative buffer to, like, maybe to, like, the X value on, like, a single side or something, instead of a very large like, positive buffer that extends the rectangle further out. So that won't actually be that hard. Now that I'm thinking about it, it might actually... Okay, so yeah, I think creating the very slight imperfections where, like, only a little bit of what's behind the rectangle shows, actually I don't think will be too bad, now that I think about it. I think the reverse might end up being true, where finding the places where it looks the most natural to create those imperfections might be hard to program. My first thought is maybe just tracking like mouse motion. So when like mouse motion is or like mouse velocity or whatever is above a certain amount, like a certain speed, then obviously that means the player is moving the mouse really, really fast. That's probably the best sort of situation. Is this Blair's house? This is Blair's house. Okay, here we go. That's probably the best time to insert imperfections. Also, maybe like very rarely when rounding a corner. Yeah. I don't think it'll be that bad, actually. It'll just take a little bit of messing with. I'm picking up. Here's Pippi's videotape. Take good care of it now. I knew I should have returned it sooner. I do hope you'll make a good cover story for me. You will, won't you? I'm relying on you, Jay. Try not to fail me utterly. No problem. I'll bring this right over to her. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it'll be that bad. I was... I'm glad I talked myself through it here, because I was a little intimidated by that problem. But after talking myself through it, I don't think it'll be that bad. Okay, so let's deliver this real quick. I've seen this before. Isn't this my videotape? I just knew in my heart that I'd get it back eventually, but I never thought I'd get it back so soon, little hare. Let me thank you. Maybe some nice stationery will do, little hare. Thank you. I appreciate that, actually. That's very nice. When you say you're gonna do something, you just go right out and do it. I'm glad to know that, little hare. Perfect. Alright. Well, you know what? I think this seems like a good time to wrap up today. I didn't find the money rock, but I'm not worried about it. So I'm very tired and I want to go to bed. So that's what I'm gonna do, provided I don't get distracted working on the game some more, because that tends to happen. We'll see what happens, but I will see you tomorrow.